You work. Vary. Wake up early, arrive late, work overtime, accept additional projects. You kill yourself working. And even then, you never have $10,000 saved. Never. You look at the bill at the end of the month, and it's there. Zero, $50, maybe $200 if it was a good month. But $10,000? It seems impossible. It seems like an unattainable goal. It seems like it requires earning a lot more than you do. Lie. The problem is not how much you work. It's not how much you earn. The problem is that you spend exactly what you should be investing. You take every dollar that could give you freedom and convert it into temporary satisfaction that evaporates before the next paycheck. Let me tell you something that Charlie Munger would repeat until you understand. Working hard doesn't make you rich. Never did. It will never do. The world is full of people who work like convicts and die poor, and full of people who work moderately and get rich. The difference is not effort. It's what you do with the result of your effort. You turn work into money and immediately turn money into nothing. In objects that depreciate, in experiences that end, in a status that no one cares about, and then you wonder why it never accumulates. $10,000 isn't much. Mathematically, they are ridiculously achievable for anyone with income, but psychologically, for you, they are impossible. Because you have patterns of behavior that ensure those 10,000 never exist. It doesn't matter how much you work. The brutal truth is this: you could double your income tomorrow, and a year from now, you still wouldn't have 10,000 saved, because the problem is not the input. It's the way out. It's you being a financial black hole that sucks in and destroys everything that enters. And as long as you don't admit that, as long as you continue to blame insufficient income instead of non-existent discipline, you will work until you die without ever having margin, never having options, never having freedom. When I was studying why people with decent incomes never accumulated anything, I discovered a disturbing pattern. It wasn't that they didn't earn enough. It was that they spent an exact mathematical proportion to what they earned. Did he earn $3,000? I spent $3,000. Did you make $6,000? I spent $6,000. Did you get a 30% raise? Expenses increased by 30%, as if there were an automatic algorithm adjusting expenses to income. And the account never ended with a surplus. Never. There was always something. It was always missing. It was always tight. Regardless of income, you are in this pattern. And while it is, $10,000 is a mirage. You get closer, they seem possible, you almost get there, and then you evaporate, repeatedly. Let me show you exactly how you destroy the 10,000 before they exist. First, you have no concrete goal. I want to save money is not a goal, it's a vague desire. Goal is $10,000 by December 2026. Specific, measurable, with deadline. You don't have that. It has a nebulous intention of one day saving, and nebulous intention generates zero results, always. Second, you expect to have leftovers. He pays all the bills, buys everything he needs, gives himself all the small pleasures, and thinks that in the end there will be something left to save. There's never any leftovers, because expenses automatically expand to consume everything available. It's law of financial futility, and you live in it without question. Third, you treat small amounts as irrelevant. It's only $10, and there are only 20. It doesn't make any difference. But it does. $10 a day is $300 a month. There are 3,600 per year. In 3 years, more than 10,000. But you never do that math. You treat every small expense as insignificant and are surprised that the total is devastating. Fourth, you reward yourself for working hard. I worked hard this week. I deserve a good dinner. I had a hard day. I deserve this. I tried hard. I deserve that. You transform work into justification for consumption. Did it work? He earned a salary. That's the reward. But you want additional reward, and this additional reward consumes exactly what should be saved. Fifth, you don't set aside money immediately. Salary drops on the 5th day. You think, I'll save whatever is left at the end of the month. Day 30, there was zero left, because you spent it first and tried to save it with the rest. Wrong order. It was always the wrong order, but you repeat it month after month expecting a different result. Sixth, you have emergencies every month. Month that doesn't have a real emergency, you make it up. I need to change this thing because it's almost breaking. I need to buy what I might need. I need to solve that problem that could get worse. You create artificial urgencies that justify spending instead of saving, and he calls it being responsible. Seventh, you finance life, installment purchase, car finance. It divides everything into smooth installments. And you don't realize that each installment is a chain holding you back. Each monthly commitment is dollars that you can no longer save. You tie yourself up financially and then complain that you don't have mobility. Eighth, you compare yourself with the wrong people. Look at a colleague with a new car and think, I deserve it too. He sees a friend traveling and feels, I'm falling behind. He observes his neighbor renovating his house and decides, I need to improve mine. You compete in consumption with people who are just as fucked up as you, only better at hiding it. Ninth, you invest in investment in yourself. Of course, that doesn't end. Equipment you don't use, experience that will open doors. Everything justified as personal growth. But growth that does not generate measurable returns is consumption. And you consume compulsively, calling it an investment. 10th, you can't handle discomfort. Saving to reach 10,000 requires months, perhaps years, of voluntary discomfort. To say no, to postpone, to be different. And you don't have the stomach for it. Prefer comfort now than freedom later. So you never reach freedom. I saw people earning $40,000 a year without being able to save $10,000. I saw others earning $25,000 with $30,000 saved. The difference was not income, it was behavior, it was discipline. It was the ability to do uncomfortable things long enough for results to appear. You're in the first group, not because of bad luck, by choice, by pattern of behavior that you automatically repeat without question. $10,000 seems like a lot. They are not. Mathematically, they are pathetic. They are ridiculously easy to reach. If you're not a behavioral idiot, let's do some simple math. Earn $3,000 a month, save 15%, it's $450. In 22 months, there are 10,000, less than 2 years. Do you earn $5,000 a month? Save 20%, $1,000. In 10 months, there are 10,000, less than a year. Do you earn $2,000 a month? Save 10%, $200. In 50 months, there are 10,000, just over 4 years. The math is trivial. Any child can do it. But you can't execute. Why? Because the math assumes you will save consistently. No skipping months, no emergency. No, just this once. And you can't do that. Not for lack of capacity. Due to lack of character, you jump. Every month there's a reason. Every month has justification. And the 10,000 never materializes because you never run long enough. Or worse, you keep it for 3 months, accumulate $1,000, and spent on emergencies that weren't emergencies. Returns to zero. Start over. Repeat. Indefinitely. It's the financial version of a yo-yo diet. Start, stop, start again, give up. Never maintaining consistency long enough to see results. And blame math when the problem is you. Here's another account you don't do. $5 daily coffee, $150 a month, $1,800 a year. In 6 years, more than 10,000. Delivery 3 times a week, $20 each. $240 a month, $2,800 a year. In 3.5 years, 10,000. Streaming you don't use, $15. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, I don't know what else. $60 a month, $720 a year. In 14 years, 10,000. You're spending your 10 grand, actively, every day. In 1,000 small decisions that seem insignificant individually, but in aggregate, destroy any chance of accumulation. But you don't do these calculations, because doing these math requires admitting that the problem is behavior, not income, and admitting that hurts like hell. $10,000 are not achieved in a single heroic decision. They are achieved in 1,000 small daily battles that you need to win, and you lose the majority. Every day you wake up and face choices. Coffee at home or purchased coffee, you buy. Lunch brought or lunch purchased, you buy. Tap water or purchased water, you buy. Walking or Uber, you take Uber. Wait or buy now in installments, you pay in installments, each choice individually, $5, $10, $20. Irrelevant. But you make 30, 40 of these choices a week, $200 a month, $2,000 a year. And in each one chooses convenience over accumulation, comfort over progress, immediate gratification over future freedom. People who put together 10,000 win most of these battles. Not all of them, they are human, but 60, 70%. And you win maybe 20%, lose the rest. And the accumulated difference over 2, 3 years is exactly $10,000. Not because they earned more, because they bled less. You are in a war of attrition against yourself, and losing. Because it treats each battle as independent when in fact they are part of a larger campaign. You optimize each individual moment instead of optimizing accumulated results. It's a loser's strategy, and it ensures that you remain a loser. Here's a cruel irony. The harder you work, the more justification you have for spending. And the more you spend, the more you need to work. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you trapped. Did you work 60 hours this week? I deserve this expensive dinner. Did you pick up an extra shift? I deserve this purchase. Made a different project icy? I deserve this little trip. You turn hard work into license to spend. And the more you work, the more license you give yourself. So it never accumulates no matter how hard you work. The person who works 40 hours and saves 15% ends up richer than the person who works 70 hours and spends it all. Because wealth is not a function of work. It is a function of the difference between input and output. But you romanticize hard work. He thinks it is a virtue in itself that should be rewarded. And you reward yourself by spending exactly what you should save. It's the perfect trap. You work more to earn more, to spend more, to need to work more. And he calls it living, when in reality it's just a well-paid giant hamster wheel. When I was building my first 10,000, I worked less than many of my colleagues, but he kept more, because he understood something fundamental. Hard work without financial discipline is a waste of energy. It's turning life into money and money into nothing. Colleagues worked too much. They arrived exhausted. They rewarded themselves by spending, and they never had anything saved. While I worked as necessary, I lived below my means. I saved the difference. 10 years later, they still need to work as hard as before. I work because I want to, not because I have to. The difference started with $10,000 that I had the discipline to accumulate, while they had the right to enjoy. You don't save $10,000 because you have a mentality that makes accumulation impossible. And until you change your mindset, you can read 1,000 articles, take 1,000 courses, get 1,000 raises. Nothing will change. The mindset is, money is for spending. This is your fundamental belief. Money exists to be converted into things, experiences, comfort. Hoarding is weird. It's cow's hand. It's not enjoying life. You never questioned that belief. You just absorbed it from the culture and repeated it. Tomorrow is guaranteed. You act like the future will take care of itself, as if someday you will automatically have more. So you don't need to save it now. You can spend it calmly and it will sort itself out later. But then it never comes. And you grow old without having resolved anything. You deserve comfort now. Work, then you deserve it. This simple equation destroys any chance of accumulation. Because he always worked, so you always deserve it, so never keep it. Deserving becomes a permanent justification for permanent consumption. Small doesn't matter. $10 doesn't make a difference. Not 20, not 50. You only value it big, but big is made of small. And by ignoring small, you guarantee that you will never have big. Saving is sacrifice. For you, saving money is deprivation. It's suffering. It's losing. It's not building a better future. It's making the present worse, so you avoid it. Because who chooses suffering voluntarily? People who save 10,000 have the opposite mentality. Money is a tool. It serves to build freedom. Spending is using the tool. Save too. Both have purpose. Future needs to be built. It doesn't happen alone. Every dollar saved today is a brick of future freedom. Excessive comfort now costs freedom later. Bad exchange. They prefer temporary discomfort and permanent freedom. Small accumulates. 10,000 is 1,000 times 10, or 100 times 100. Respected small inevitably becomes big. Saving is investing in yourself. It's not deprivation. It's intelligent choice to allocate resources for the best possible return, which is freedom. Same reality. Opposing interpretations, opposite results. You can change mindset, but it requires admitting that your current one is screwing you over, and you don't want to admit it. You want to continue believing that the problem is external, not internal. There's only one strategy that works to save $10,000. Save first, live on the rest. It's not sexy. It's not innovative. There is no secret hack. It's mechanical, obvious, boring, and it works for 100% of the people who perform it. But you don't execute because it requires a complete reversal of how you operate. Wrong way, yours. Salary comes in, pays bills, buys things, lives, tries to save extra, zero left over. Right way, salary comes in, saves first automatically, pays bills, lives with the rest. Difference is order. And order is everything. When you save first, automatically, without thinking, without negotiating with yourself, the money is set aside before you have a chance to spend it. It is protected from you. When you try to save money, you are competing with 1,000 other priorities, and he always loses. Because there's always something more urgent, more necessary, more justifiable than saving. Practical implementation. The day your salary drops, automatic transfer of 15% to a separate account. Without you touching, without you deciding. System decides. Separate account without card. No app on cell phone. Difficult access. So that you don't mess around in a moment of weakness. Clear goal, $10,000. Defined deadline. You know exactly how much you need to save each month and for how long. 0 exceptions in the first 6 months. No matter what happens, don't move. This establishes habit and proves that you're capable. It seems simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Because it requires you to live on less than you're used to, requires adjustment, it requires discomfort. And you don't want discomfort. You want a solution that doesn't change your current lifestyle. It doesn't exist. You need to change to accumulate, no exception. Here's the final truth with no escape. You never save $10,000 not because you work little, not because he earns little, but because it spends exactly what it should be investing. You turn work into money and money into nothing. It's reverse alchemy. Take gold and turn it into lead. And he repeats this every month, every year, until he dies without having accumulated any margin. $10,000 is achievable. Mathematically trivial for anyone with income, but psychologically impossible for you, because you have patterns of behavior that guarantee failure. And as long as you don't break these standards, you can work 100 hours a week. You can earn $100,000 a year. It won't change anything. You will spend it all. As always, spent. You have two options. Option one, continue as is, work hard, spend it all. Justified. I deserve it. I need to enjoy it. Life is short. Aw. And in 10 years, he will be in the same place, or worse, still without $10,000 saved, still in prison, still dependent on every salary until the last day of the month. Option two, you admit that the problem is not income. It's behavior. It's a lack of discipline. It's the inability to delay gratification. And you change. Today. Now. Establishes automatic transfer. Sets a clear goal. Live with less. For as long as it takes to accumulate $10,000. It seems radical. It is not. It's basic. It is the minimum necessary to have a functional financial life. But to you it seems radical because you are so far from basic that basic seems extreme. $10,000. It's number. It's possible. You can do it. But will you make it honestly? Or are you going to read this, vaguely agree, and tomorrow be doing exactly the same shit you've always done? You work so hard. For what? To turn life into money and money into temporary satisfaction that evaporates before the next paycheck? What a waste. What a tragedy. How pathetic. You could have $10,000 saved. There could be margin. There could be options. Could start building freedom? But it doesn't. Because you spend what you should invest. And you will continue to spend. Until I die. Unless it changes today. Next salary that drops. 15% comes out automatically before you touch it. Go where you don't move easily. Stay there. Accumulate. You do this for 2 years, there are 10,000. Or it doesn't. And in 2 years it is in the same place, working so hard, with nothing saved, complaining that it is impossible. Choice reveals who you are. Worker who accumulates, or hamster that runs on the wheel indefinitely. $10,000 are waiting. Outside the wheel. Do you leave or keep running?